Some of the information that we've seen, over the last 3 or 4 months has been kind of pretty persistently positive. So when we think about the global growth environment, you think about Europe, which is kind of stabilized but at a low level. You think about Asia, where you've actually had some very high, growth patterns over the past, 1, 3, and 5 years, and that looks like there's kind of a lower level, but still fairly high by global standards. But in the U.S., you really have kind of a nice, persistent, 2-ish, 2.5% kind of moderate GDP environment, and we've seen pretty good data on the labor front, on kind of some of the purchasing indices and some of the manufacturing indices. And one of the things that's kind of interesting most recently is after the summer, there was some spike in interest rates. And I think that took a little bit out of the wind of housing. But generally, the U.S. landscape is kind of a good, persistent, moderate growth environment, which I think is very good for corporate securities. The interest rate scenario is kind of a difficult one because you have the biggest player in the market, the Federal Reserve, in the market very aggressively buying back both government and mortgage securities. So you've got that big kind of technical force that's providing a lot of demand and keeping rates low right now. On the other side of the equation, the private market is not setting rates right now. So ultimately, it's our view that the bond market has to wean itself off of Federal Reserve-driven yields, which are lower, and ultimately the private market has to set rates. So that's corporations, that's individuals, that's other countries out setting rates. And at that point, we think that where rates get set is much higher than where we are today. What gets to be tricky about that is it's a timing issue because the Fed's a very big player, been very supportive, very kind of dovish is a term a lot of people use, and so that's keeping rates down. Federal Reserve can clearly do that on the front end of the curve, but we saw in the May and June period, once people think they're going to step away, that can lead to some volatility in the longer part of the curve. So over the longer period of time, rates need to get set higher, and the private market needs to do that, but that's more of a timing issue. And ultimately, we think the drift is higher. Once again, that's about when. So when we think about our overall positioning, we think about the fundamental environment, valuation, and kind of technicals. That's the supply and demand for bonds. So in the fundamental environment, defaults remain low. Corporate balance sheets remain in very good shape. We still continue to see good quality transactions. In fact, the bulk of the issuance in the market is still for refinancing. So that's the same companies that are doing pretty well, that are just simply out extending maturities, lowering the cost of borrowing. And the fundamental environment to us remains very sound. So when we think about the U.S. economy, we think that we're going to have a stronger second half than we had the first half. We think that things are kind of picking up. In fact, I think one of the things the markets were a little bit surprised about with the Federal Reserve's decision to not rein in some of their buying was that the economy feels like it's in pretty good shape. So I think we're going to be looking at that kind of moderate but persistent recovery in the U.S., a kind of 2.5%, 3% GDP. If you ask me if there's more likely to surprise to the upside or the downside, I'd actually say a little bit more to the upside than downside. The only wrinkle is we've got some milestones we have to hit about sort of the U.S. Congress and the White House getting together on kind of continuing resolutions on budget things. I think we should be able to get past that, but that's obviously always a hot topic, but generally constructive on the economic environment.